Hi, I'm Maureen Fitzgerald and the author of this Substack journal of a recovering lawyer. It's been a bit of a rough ride for many people at this particular point in time. And there's one topic that kept coming up for me, and I call it the sense of emptiness. And this probably won't be for everyone, but for those who are on the journey, on the path to awakening, this can be one of the hardest steps of all. And I found this beautiful quote, of course, from one of my favorite books of all time by John Ruskin called Emotional Clearing. So, um, at some point in your journey, you will realize that nothing external to you can bring you that lasting joy that you actually ache for at a very deep level as a human. And so you find out no car, no house, and no relationships can give you that lasting sense of joy. And that's a fairly big problem because then you realize a couple things. The first is that your happiness depends entirely on you. That means everything that happens to you, it's up to you to perceive it in whatever way you choose. But the other thing is, you realize that all of this, I call it the setup, where you go to work, you make money, you come home, you set some new goals, and then you set some new goals, and then you set some new goals, is kind of an endless loop that leads to temporary happiness, but not deep happiness. So, in any event, the quote I wanted to share from you from John Ruskin is as follows: If you stop searching, at first you may be left with this terrible emptiness that is no longer masked by the false hope that searching brings. This emptiness must be worked with like all other perceived negatives. Indeed, it is the main issue we all face. Real work on yourself begins when you start to integrate and stop being motivated by whatever form the emptiness takes, whether it is a longing for security, sex, power, or relationships. I promise you, eventually, you will become clear and experience a freedom and exhilaration that you don't think could exist. So, the question, of course, is how do you deal with this sense of emptiness? It can be quite devastating and it leads people into a bit of despair. So, I always have my toolkit of practices. Number one is meditation, just sitting with the feeling for a long time, and it often dissipates. And of course, journaling is my number one go-to practice, which always helps me, not just in the moment, but I look back and I can understand what was going on in my mind. So, the other thing I've begun to do, I'm going to talk about in an upcoming post, is self inquiry, which I think is profound. But I'll leave that to another day. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and hopefully, this helps a little bit. Have a good day, and we'll see you soon.